What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to 10 Scale Adventures. We're back at the workbench after entirely too long. I think it's been 5 weeks since I've been on here. So for those of you that are already in watching on the video, thanks for joining and bearing with the dry spell I had there. The month of July ended up being extremely busy for me, and lots of family staying with me, and just a whole lot of stuff going on, and I just didn't really have any time at all to do too much. I mean, I did have a few background projects I was working on here and there in my after hours when I could find the time. But we're back, we're live, and we're going to look at the 1K giveaway build. This video was originally supposed to happen the 11th of July. So I'm three weeks behind on when this video was supposed to happen, and today we're going to be building the body. So just a quick recap on where we were on this is we had built the chassis up. We played with some of the links that it came with. Obviously this is really nothing too impressive at the moment. It's just a pretty bare bones SCX10 chassis. And we called it quits on this assembling the chassis further with the parts that we had out of the junk box, because there's just too much that needs to be replaced or sorted out with the body to make it all work. Past that, in the last video on this build, we did a axle rebuild and upgrade and went from AR44s to SSD Pro 44 setup for both the front and the rear axle. So I selected the Pro 44s for this because I like the scale look of them a little bit better than the diamonds, and these got the aluminum tubes. They are both axles are fully built and ready to be installed. Minus, if I remember correctly, yeah, I still need to get the collars or the shoulder screws for the C hubs so that they are actually installed correctly. But so yeah, that's what we left off with on this truck. So from there, before we do any more assembly on that, because I can't do links until I get the wheelbase sorted out, and the wheelbase is going to be driven by the body. So let's get the chassis and axles out of the way, and finally take a look at what's in this box. As you can see, it has not changed since the sneak peek that we gave on the video a while back, and so I haven't pulled it out, I haven't unwrapped it. We haven't looked at what it's going to be, so it's the first time it comes fully out of the box. Nothing else in there. Now, I don't even know that this comes with any instructions, so we'll have to find out. The body it's not a Gladiator, technically. Don't mind the plastic sounds. But it's the Jeep truck, I guess. It's kind of a Gladiator, but not a Gladiator. It's a two-door Gladiator. Oh, it does come with instructions. They're right there in the packaging. So hopefully those are as helpful as they can be. This was acquired off of Amazon, of all places, because that's where I could get it in a reasonable period of time. And the price was decent. I believe, if I recall correctly, it was around 75 bucks. And I'll add a link to this video for where I purchased it from. And it comes, you can get it in a number of different colors, straight from the factory, base plastic dye colors. So I chose to go with the Coyote Tan for this build as the base color. Don't know that we're going to stay with that long term on this truck or not, but for now I figured that was a good base color. I like it. So there's our instructions. You can see the base color that's on the instructions is that bright lime green. So hopefully the instructions make this look like it's really simple. So if this doesn't take too long, I do have another little upgrade we can add to this package tonight. One of the reasons why I chose this body is it looked like it was extremely well detailed. I don't know what these pieces are, but it has a full depth interior. It's full hard body. What I'm about to pull out of the package here is the doors. Look at this guy. Isn't that a nice looking door for this? It's got hinges. I think this even has some sort of latch system that the door actually latches so that you can latch it open and close. So that'll be fun to play with. I do have to apologize. I probably sound a little bit raspy. Ooh, I had a bit of a sneezing fit today. I probably sneezed over 100 times today. I did the yards yesterday, and I've got a lot of grass, and I'm allergic to grass. And I think that maybe I spent too much time working in the yard. So my nose is a little messed up. My throat's a little messed up. Just drinking water instead of a beer or something, just because just not feeling it. But we're gonna push on anyways. I took enough allergy medication to calm things down, hopefully to be able to get through this video without having a sneezing fit. So there's the seat backs. Pretty nice little detail there. A little bit of paint work can make those look really sharp. Or maybe we'll leave them all black. I don't know. Oh, check that out. This is the interior door panel. So the doors not only have a nice exterior look to them, but let me see if I can set that on there. They'll have a nice three-dimensional interior door on here. Man, I may have to get one of these bodies for one of my own builds. So far, I'm really liking the level of detail here. So we'll try and keep this stuff organized as it comes out of the box. Out of the packaging, I should say. What else we got? This appears to be a crate. Yeah, so this is like a cargo crate. So the wheelbase on this should be a 12.3. I don't know how this is actually. If this feels like it should open, but it doesn't want to open, so we're not going to force it at the moment. I wonder if there's screws down in there. Yeah, there's some little screws down in these holes right here that are holding that closed. So we'll open that up a little bit later. Oh, check that out. Let me switch to this camera. The steering wheel has some wood grain detailing already on it. I mean, I'm not a huge advocate of wood grain detailing, but I do think it's kind of neat that they added that on there right out of the package. It's a little extra touch on there. Bull Gear RC, what's going on? Thanks for checking in, man. How you doing? So we'll push on. Oh, this has got to be the grill. I'm gonna safely say that that's the grill. That might be something. Oh, you know what? It's not the grill. It's supposed to look like a radiator. The grill's going to be a piece that goes in front of it. That's kind of cool. We may have to spoof that up with a little bit of silver paint, make it look like it's aluminum. My guess is that's a steering column. Got little levers on either side. It's probably your blinker lever and your cruise control or windshield wipers, depending on what vehicle you have. I haven't driven very many Jeeps in real life, so I'm not sure what's on which levers. My Silverado's only got a lever on one side. Well, I guess it could be, no, it might be you could call it a shift lever on automatic on the one side and the blinker on the other side. This appears to be some small bits. We'll get into that later. And oh snap, that's fancy. This is going to be the dash panel. So they already got some nice detailing work on the dash panel. I mean, it could use just a hair bit more, maybe a little bit of marks to make the gauges look like there's something actually going on them. Maybe some blue and some red down here on the AC. What would be the climate controls? What I did notice is it's got this cavity right here, and I'm curious what that's for, but it's vented into the cab area, and with the way it's shaped, it makes me think that a fan or something might fit right there. Might be a good spot to for an ESC or something to be hidden. We'll have to see how the rest of the body goes together for that piece. And that's an empty bag. And the main shell. Yes, Bulgar RC. It is the Jeep body off of Amazon is where this guy came from. So it's the two-door cab setup. So it's already got the grill up here in the front. The full depth interior. The floor pan's already all there with the base of the seats. Bucket seat setup, center console. So, and it's definitely, so I was saying on here that one of them might be the shifter. That is not the case because this has got a floor shift set marked out on it. So either that's an overlooked detail and they put the shifter on in two potential places, or one of those is cruise control and the other one's a blinker. Who knows? But so here's where we're at with this guy. Let's look at the first step in the instructions. Okay, not gonna lie. I mean, I can probably make these instructions work and figure it all out, but they're really not that great. You just kind of have to look at the picture and what parts are already installed and then figure out how to install them. There's no indication on hardware. So if you are looking at potentially getting one of these, be ready to do a little bit of troubleshooting because it's not going to be super easy as far as having the right instructions. Or having good detailed instructions. So we're just going to kind of put stuff in there and see what happens. That's going to sit in there like that, but looks like we need 3 screws to actually hold it in. So we'll get into baggie with a bunch of screws. So if there's any of the guys that I did the Hafer crawler comp with back in late June before the 4th of July, if any of those guys are watching or watch this video, guys, I'm sorry. I do still have the footage from the comp. I haven't had a chance to really put that video together. There's a lot of footage of it, and I know you guys were looking forward to it, and I just have not had the time to get it done. I will try and get on it sometime this week. I know you've heard that from me before, but at least for this week, I have no guests staying at my house. I do have some guests that are supposed to be back, or my folks are supposed to be back next week, I think. They're full-time RVers, and they're having some work done on their coach here out of OKC, so they're having to kind of make home base here while their coach is getting worked on. So that kind of makes things a little bit busy, but family comes first. So, but I will get to it, guys. I haven't forgotten about that video. I will do it. You will see it. It just, I can't exactly promise when. Okay, so as far as screws, in this little bag, we have 3 different little baggies of screws in here. And they are a little bit different, each one. So I'm going to have to carefully troubleshoot, but the one baggie is these little tiny black screws. They are not a machine thread that you put a nut on. It's a more like a wood thread type screw for going straight into the plastic. And then there's these silver ones, which are similar thread, but they're a flanged. They're Phillips, and I know you can't really tell in that baggie because of the glare. And they've got little pointy ends on them. And then there's this baggie of what looks to be almost the exact same screw, except the pointy end has been removed and they're flat end. So we're gonna have to figure out what goes where with the screws, or if it really matters. Okay, so there is kind of a diagram for screws, right? And we'll go to this camera, maybe. See if I can get around the glare. Okay, so you can kind of see this diagram here. There's, grab something to point with. It gives some screw sizes and points to some of the locations where they go. So we'll have to kind of sort that out. It's really not that clear on here what that's calling for. I need to flip it over so I can see. Looks like M2.6 by 8, 2. Oh no. Wow, it's calling out for more sizes than I see here. So I wonder if there's more hardware hidden somewhere. Did come with nice hard plastic fender flares, which if you're going to do a class 1 build like I'm aiming to do with this, you're definitely going to need those fender flares to make the body get the tire coverage that's needed for a class 1. Ah, there's more screws. Okay, so we're going to assume this is baggie number 4 screws. These ones are actually a machine thread. Those are a true metric thread screw. So, and there's even 2 other really small screws in there. I'm guessing that those probably all have something to do with those particular parts. So we'll keep those in that little baggie for now. All right. What screws would go up here in the dash? It looks like, oh, that is really interesting to try and understand. M2.3 by 8 would be my guess, but that doesn't really make sense. All right, we're just gonna kind of go for it and see what happens. The something doesn't go together right, then we'll undo it and do it again, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. So these are Phillips drives, so I need to find the right tool. There we go. And that's too big of a Phillips. Switch to the smaller one. All right. That should be the right size. Yep. That'll work. All right. Now, oh, I don't even know if I can get that in there. Oh, just barely I can get this screwdriver in there. So there's nothing showing. That's interesting. All right, so where I showed this little cutout right here on the back, I don't know what the intention is for what that's for or what you might be able to hide in there. It's not a ton of space. They don't really show anything here, so maybe you can get creative, or maybe you can notch the inside of this away because there's no opening here behind where that dash panel goes. But if you were to take a Dremel, you could open that up in order to take advantage of that little opening right there. We're, at least for now, we're not gonna do that with this one unless I come up with a reason to actually do it. Now I'm just trying to see if I can figure out the easiest way to line this up. And I am gonna, instead of using the ones that aren't pointy, I'm gonna use the ones that are pointy. They're a little bit longer. And I'm doing that because the bosses that are on the back of the dash panel are really long, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any depth issue using a longer screw. So we're going to use a longer one for now. Who knows? We might have to change that out later, but we're going to go for it. Ugh. Why Phillips? Probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you wanted to build one of these to get a bunch of real small M2 hardware that's actually Allen drive or socket drive rather than Phillips head. I am going to build it with the hardware it came with because, well, that's probably what most people do. So that's how we're going to do it. But if I do another one, I'm probably just going to get my own hardware and do all this with socket drive instead of Phillips, because Phillips is really annoying. All right, one. And so be sure, I mean, if you're watching right now, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, you really should subscribe so you have a chance at winning this truck. Again, I know it doesn't look like anything too fancy yet, and we are taking our time building it, but it is going to be given away, and I promise by the time we give it away, this is going to be a nice rig. It's going to perform well. Someone's going to really enjoy it, and I really do want to be able to give it away because that's the whole reason I'm building it. I mean, if it never gets given away, I guess it'll be a nice piece on my shelf. I'll probably use it one time, take it out, and do a shakedown on it just to make sure that everything is put together right and works right so it goes to a new owner and doesn't have any issues right when they unpack it. But other than that, it'll get, after a quick shakedown, it'll get put on the shelf and then it'll wait. Okay. Granted, it is going to take me a while to get this one all done up, but I do plan on doing some really neat stuff with it. I actually, even though the chassis looks exactly the same as it did the last time it was seen on this channel, it has been torn apart, had some R&D stuff done on it, and I even took it all the way to the point where it was a rolling chassis with some R&D work on it, and then tore it all back apart so that it could be back to where it needed to be for the channel. I know, shame on me, right? But part of that's because you all need to see what I'm going to do with it. So it is going to be some cool stuff. Not going to be your typical actual drivetrain, and I have no intentions on cutting the floor of this body. That's one of the reasons why there's no drivetrain on it. Why am I buzzing? No drift day next Sunday. What are you talking about? All right, no, there probably is a drift day next Sunday. That message wasn't for me. Group chats, gotta love them. Okay, what's the next piece that's in that photo? They put the seat backs in. All right, so let's see if we can figure out the seat backs. Seat backs just snap in, I think. Oh, man. Yep, seat backs just literally just shove in there. We got little dimpled. Let's see if I can show you. So the seat backs just have these little, you kind of can't really see it on there. They got these little dimpled expansion nubs on them that literally just shoves down into the two openings and clicks into place. So one of them's in. One thing I am a little concerned with on this body is going to be the weight. I mean, right now with just what's in my hand, it's not bad, but I think once it's all put together, this body is actually going to be a little bit on the heavy side. So if you're looking to do a comp build with this body, I do recommend getting a little creative with a Dremel and doing some weight reduction where you can. I mean, the fact that it's got a full dash here means that you could go in here on the back side and you could actually get rid of a good bit of material here as long as you don't take out the points where the dash is actually secured and all that stays good and rigid. So there's a little bit of weight reduction in certain areas that could be done. You'll have to get creative with that. I mean, even the seat areas and the seat backs, there's quite a bit you could do to reduce the weight. All right, seats are in. That's all that was installed on step 1. Step 2, they install the doors. So let's put the doors on. Well, actually, let's see. And the door panels are already on the doors when they install them. So we got to figure out what needs to go onto the doors before I can put the door panels on. So we'll get all my doors out. Move you. Let's see if I can make this. Put that guy up there. Yeah, no good pictures of the actual doors. So put that out of the way. Get my topper out of the way. It does have these, so this body probably is also used as the four-door. I think it's the four-door Rubicon is what they probably use the base mold for. And I say that because it also comes with these little half doors that go on either side, matching little half doors that go here and here. But what you can see is they're actually, for this body, those little half doors are behind where the topper is going to be. The topper is going to be somewhere in that region, closing it up into a truck. And there is a bench seat there. I don't see a seat back for the bench seat, but I believe, yeah. So the bench seat gets disguised so that you don't see it by this little toolbox that hides the bench seat away. The rear topper's in there. It sits right there. And with the little half doors in, it just kind of hides it away. So I'm pretty sure this is the same base mold that's used for the Rubicon four-door Jeep body. Pretty sure. I don't have one to be 100% confident in that, but pretty sure that's the case. All right. Which that's also good for me to know because that's going to be making it a little bit easier to track down some more goodies for this body, because knowing that they're one and the same is extremely helpful. All right, so we've got our door panels. We don't need our back doors yet. Before I can put the door panels on, it looks like I might need to put a few other little bits on. So it did come with some pretty nice little mirrors. They even come with, oh, there it is. Got the glare. Yep. I mean, it's a little sticker, chrome sticker that's on there to give it the mirror look. Is a little scratched up. Neil, what's up, man? It's going. I don't know if you can hear my congestion. I was out doing yards yesterday, and you know how that goes for me. Ronald, did you have to lengthen the rear links? Ronald, I haven't actually made links for this yet. So, this is going to be a full custom setup. I do have a set of stock links, stock 12.3 links that I can do some test fitting with to see where they will position the axle. But I haven't made links because I am going to make custom links for this using aluminum rod. You can probably see it in this truck, this Toyota that's right up here. You can see the shiny right under there. Those are aluminum rods like this. You can see a little hole in the middle. Point it right at the camera, you can see it better. But I cut this to specific lengths that I actually measure up and do my own links with. But so I don't know yet. I don't know if it's going to need custom links, if it'll need custom length for the wheelbase to be extended or not. I do know that once this goes onto the chassis, I want the grill, the front grill, to be in line with right above the front of the frame rails. I don't want a bunch of frame rail in front of the body, so I will adjust the positioning, shift the wheelbase forward and backwards to make that happen. And that might be a reason that it may need the rear links extended, but it is supposed to be a 12.3 wheelbase, which means it should be able to drop over a stock SCX-10.2 chassis and be pretty close to lining up with the stock wheelbase. Assuming you have a 12.3, there are a couple of SCX-10 base chassis that aren't 12.3. They're 12. I think it's the Deadbolt is a 12-inch, not a 12.3. But don't quote me. I'm not an expert. I just like to have fun. All right. So the mirrors just push in onto the doors. I probably didn't have to put those on before putting the door panels in. The door handles, on the other hand, let's see. That's a door handle, and that's a door handle. The door handles look like they may actually need to be glued in. They pop. Oh, they pop in pretty tight. That's probably not going to go anywhere unless you actually really beat it on something. So pop the other one in. I would recommend that. I'm not going to glue these right now in case I do decide I want to paint this. I'll have the ability, should have the ability to get these to pop back out. Worst case, ooh, maybe not. That one popped in real good. So door handles in. If you do plan on doing paint work on one of these bodies, I do recommend actually, if you're doing a full body paint work, not just detail work, I recommend doing that before you assemble it. It just makes it a lot less work to mask things off or whatnot. I do plan at this point anyway. I plan on keeping the tan base color. It's Ronald, it's not 12.3. Are you sure? If it's not, then I think it's poorly advertised. Let me check. I'm pretty sure. If I go Jeep, there it is. Yeah, so I'm looking at the web link right now, which I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat for you guys to see. Copy this web link. Copy. If I go here and paste that right there. All right, there you go. Ronald, check out that link that I just dropped into the chat. That's straight from Amazon. That's the actual listing that I ordered this truck from. It's showing that it's a 12.3 inch or 313 wheelbase. I can't exactly verify that 100%. I can eyeball it right now with well, I've only got a 12-inch ruler. I don't have anything longer sitting here. But if I eyeball into yeah, it's got to be pretty close to 12.3. At least this version. I mean, you may have a different body, but you can see that's a 12-inch ruler, and you can see that. I mean, the rear is kind of close to where the center of the wheel arch will be, and the front is kind of close to where that center of that wheel arch will be, and that's at 12 inch. So you figure there's another 1/4 inch in there. I mean, it could vary a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of hard to gauge based on where it's at right now. Until I get it on a chassis with axles underneath it and can actually take a really good measurement of where I want the axles to fit, I can't really say much more than that. But that is what it's advertised as. Oh, you complained to AliExpress about it? Yeah. So that means it's probably like a 12.5 then, maybe a 12.5-inch wheelbase. I could see that from what I was eyeballing on there. That's one of those. It's advertised one way so that people know, oh, this is what it's meant for, but not exactly a perfect match, which is always kind of annoying. But then again, when you get into building these custom, that's kind of what you get into. So, but no, Neil, what I was saying though is for the most part, the allergies here haven't been bad at all for me. I actually have been off allergy meds for 2 or 3 months. The last 2 or 3 months, I haven't had to take any allergy meds at all. Where up there in Oregon, I would have been dead, like high as a kite on excessive allergy meds all day, every day for 4 months. So that haven't been too bad. I think it was just I spent a little too much time out in grass directly, mowing it and breathing it and shoveling it. And turns out when it takes 2 hours to mow your lawn on a rider mower, that's a little too much time in the grass. Okay, water. Also, never needed one of these in Oregon. It was never hot enough, long enough to really justify using a tumbler. But now that I've been out here and the days are, getting, 90 degrees every day, all day, turns out that these actually work pretty good. Benadryl pre-game. Then I think you're not supposed to operate equipment when you take Benadryl, man. I'll end up running myself over with my own lawnmower. Which is very possible because my riding lawnmower has the ability to mow in reverse, which is super great because then you don't have to turn around constantly or turn the cutting deck off every time you want to back up. Now you know why, now you know why people down there have them all the time. Have what, allergies? Nah. Just means it was a fluke. I'm gonna call it a fluke. It was the dog. I'm gonna blame the dog. The new puppy. It was the new puppy's fault. Actually, it probably was the new puppy's fault. Because he was out rolling in the yard after I did the yards and then got in the bed. Oh, door panels. Door panels. I was like, you're making me lose track of what I'm doing, Neil. Stop distracting me with toxic drugs. There it is. So the door panels also just pop on. There's no hardware to install them. They just snap in on this setup. It feels like they're a pretty good fit too. So I don't think, unless you're really bouncing this body around real hard, which I probably wouldn't recommend. You really want a body that you can bounce around and be real abusive to, that won't break something or lose parts. You should probably run a Lexane body. But as far as what this is going to be built for, I don't foresee this being any issue at all with those parts that just pop in. All right, so now we got to get the door pinned in. I think it's these pins. No, that's kind of small. I think maybe it's the larger pin. Yep, it's the larger pin. Okay. So one thing that I just noticed on this pin is that end where you can see at the end of my palm that I'm not holding it. You can see the light kind of shines different. It's actually knurled at the end of that pin for it to bite into plastic. And because that slips through the top hole on this body nice and easy, that means that knurling needs to go all the way down to the bottom of that of the pinhole, and it's probably going to need a little bit of tapping to get it seated all the way, if I had to guess, because that's what keeps it in place. But first we got to get it lined up with the actual door. And you know what? Hanging doors on an RC vehicle seems to be just as annoying and difficult as it is on a real vehicle. If you've ever hung doors on a real vehicle, you know what I'm talking about. Just getting everything lined up right. Oh, never mind. Do not put the knurled end down. The knurled end has to go up. Well, maybe, yeah, because the knurled end does not fit through the hinges on the door. So when this is installed, the knurl end of this pin is going to be up here at the top, because it will not go down through the door hinge. And you don't want to force it down through there, because then it'll make that hole bigger and then your door will fit real sloppy and loose. So you want this end goes through nice and smooth with no excess movement. So that's the way it needs to go. The knurled side needs to go up. Now we got to get it lined up. Come on, drop in the hole. Drop in there. Oh, wow. Oh, there we go. There it is. And that's in. All right, let's give it a little push down. There we go. One door is hung. Oh, and it's got basically a little plastic. So you might want to come up basically the way this door is retained. I can see this being a wear issue. Switch to this camera. Is this little clip right here on the side of the door panel is what retains the door. It snaps in over here. So you can see when I give it a push, now it snaps in. That's what keeps the door closed. There's not an actual latching mechanism. So you may want to come up with an alternative solution because that doesn't latch super secure. Maybe adding a glued on magnet, glue a magnet on down here at the bottom of the door panel and down in here, just to give it something else to help retain, give a little bit of retention pressure so that when it bounces off, when you do a little bump up a rock or something, your doors don't go bouncing open. But there's one door on. Let's get the next one. Finish putting snap the door panel on, and then we can drop the pin and be one step closer. Oh, the tumbler. Why everyone down here has yeah. Yes, everyone down here has tumblers. Even Paige has a tumbler. She bought herself a real fancy one that was custom painted at some craft deal that she drugged me to last weekend. All right, I can't say that she drugged me to it because I'm the one who told her about it. So she wouldn't have been able to drag me to it if I hadn't have told her. But I figured she'd want to go. It was called Junk Utopia, which actually wasn't too bad. But one of the booths there, lady did all kinds of really fancy custom painted. I should have got her information about doing painted body work. She would have done could have done some really cool body work paint. Dang it. Next time. The things I don't think of. But yeah, she got herself a really fancy tumbler. Mine's just a as you can see, it's just plain stainless steel. But what's great about them, you throw some ice in that sucker with water, and even out in the heat in the sun, the ice lasts for hours. Freaking awesome. All right, now we need, so the other part that I didn't mention, oh, I just lost my close-up camera for some reason. Why did that go away? Yeah. Yep, I don't know why you turned off. Let me reset. Oh, I think it's overheating. Oh, I know what's going on. Hold on, give me a second, guys. I know why this is being stupid. Turns out, so the close-up camera that I'm using is a GoPro camera, and I mean they're great, but the newer era of GoPro cameras have a tendency to have overheating issues. And the way I avoided this in the past, oh yeah, she's hot, is when I use it on the live videos, you take the battery out and run just power feed to it. And I forgot to take the battery out. So that one hit thermal cutoff. So we'll give that a minute. Let it cool down, and then I can reconnect it, and we should have that camera back. But what I was about to point out, which I'll do up here, on this camera, is these pins. Let's see. Oh, it focused halfway decent on those. So you can see there's two different sizes. One of them's pretty small, and the other one's probably twice the diameter of the small one. The small ones are for the little half doors in the back. The large ones are for the front doors. All right, there it is. There it is. I need to get the. Come on. So anybody who builds one of these, I would recommend doing the doors before screwing the dash on, because then it'll be easier to get onto these little pins to get them to tap down into place. Because right now the dash is getting in my way. I don't want to whack on my MIPs, so I guess I will use this guy. Give it a little tap and see if it drops in. Nope. Come on. Oh, yeah. Hanging doors is so much fun. There it is. Take it out and put it in again. And it's down. Hey, we got doors. We got doors. All right. What is next after the doors? Doors are on. Oh, I need to put the little half doors on too. Okay. So, half doors. The half doors have no interior components that go on them as far as I can tell. So we just got to hang them. And they hang the same way. They just go in using, and we use the small pin to pin them in place. Oh. Get that door out of the way. If you're looking to do a class 0 build, this body would make a great class 0 build because you have to have, for most class 0 events, you have to have a minimum of a full depth interior and a minimum of at least one opening component to a body for it to be class 1 legal. So this body, assuming that you build it with all of its goodies and to the rest of class 1 specs on the chassis, is a excellent candidate for a class 1 build or a class 0 build. Granted, class 0 also means that the performance level is going to be, well, equivalent to a class 0. Oh man, these are a pain to line up. Ah, there it is. In. Ooh. Not sure what keeps that door closed yet. Oh, that's probably what these are. These are a bed rail of some sort. Oh, it is. That's a filler piece that disguises the rest of that. And it's what'll keep that door closed. So that's what these pieces are. These are a bed rail filler piece. That's right there. So this is definitely a multi-purpose use mold. All right, we can close that door, pop this one open, and hang the other one. Oh, Lance, I'll probably make my Forerunner a class 0 once I get the stuff from you. Oh, yes, the Forerunner is also a killer class 0 candidate body. The RC 4-wheel drive 85 Forerunner, I believe is what it is. I actually really want one of those along with a whole lot of other stuff, so I obviously don't have it. But yes, that'll make a great class 0, especially as a full leafer. It'll compete right there with my my K5, which makes the class 0 requirement by having the opening hood and tailgate. I mean, it's got a full depth interior and everything, but its opening component that gets it all the way qualified is the hood and tailgate. Now, if you have sorry, there it goes. If you have a hood that opens on your class 0, it requires, I've seen class 0 specs that if your hood opens, you have to have a detailed engine compartment if the hood opens. So if you're planning on doing something class 0 and that has an opening hood, make sure that you look into the requirements for whatever competition you might want to take it to see if you need a detailed engine bay if you have an opening hood. All right, rear doors are on. Now we can do the cab bits. Yeah, it looks like the cab bits are next. So it shows this parts baggie or these parts, and then it shows these parts, and then it shows this. So I'm going to assume that this is what I need to assemble next, and then from there move down to here and figure out how to install that upper cab piece onto the main shell. So those bits, some of those are right here. Drift car, Lexan engine. You know, actually, I'm pretty sure that that would be that those have enough detail to be legal. I haven't seen anybody actually use one yet, but I'm pretty sure that they have enough detail to be legal, and I don't see why not, why they wouldn't be. I You have definitely an out of the normal. So Lance pointed out that you could use a drift car style Lexane engine bay cover, and if you paint them all up, I mean those engine covers are decently three-dimensional, as much as like the RC four-wheel drive 4Runner interior is anyway, or engine bay is, and um, sorry, I'm looking for snips. The this little window frame's got a little bit of back plastic hanging from the mold that needs to be probably is going to need to be cleared off of there. We'll find out right now. But yeah, those would probably work perfect, Lance. I don't see why they wouldn't. Paint it up real nice, and you'd have a motor, a non-traditional rock crawler motor, that's for sure. Some turbo inline 4-cylinder. Paint it all up with a bunch of red and blue A&N fittings on the lines and stuff. Make it look like a full race motor. That'd be pretty cool. I'd do it. All right. The windshield's a pretty good fit. That's snapped in without too much issue, so I didn't have to actually trim that little bit off. Didn't create a problem. The windshield does just snap into the frame in 4 spots. So you may want to consider putting a dab of hot glue on right there just to keep it from popping back out. 2JZ swapped 4Runner. Yes, you have to do that now. No joke. You have no choice, Lance. You must do a 2JZ swapped 4Runner. 85 4Runner rocking a 2JZ with a pair of big twin turbos on it. Yes. All right, and we're gonna pop the rear window into the back of the cab. This one, come on. It seems to be wanting to be a little bit more resilient about snapping in. Yeah. Don't break. I asked nicely, please don't break. Okay, there, that part went. Oh, man. Ah, hate having to push this hard. Okay, so it pops in. So the rear window popped in decent. I had to push a little harder than I would have liked to. The fit's kind of tight, but once it's in there, it's pretty good and solid. So I wouldn't be concerned about it. It doesn't feel like it's being bowed or anything, so it should hold up pretty decent. Unfortunately, it looks like it came out of the packages with a couple of small scratches on it, but the first time it actually sees some real off-road use, that won't be an issue. Okay, so those two, I think this is the next thing I got to do is attach these. This looks like it may have a depth limitation, so we're going to use, well, we'll look at the little sheet and see if we can figure out what screws it calls for, but I doubt it. All right. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that all lined up pretty good. Now we just need to add a couple of little screws. What does the sheet say? Nothing useful. There's absolutely nothing useful in here about what screws. Oh, they circled it. So where are we at here? Right here. This one. I don't know if you can see the little red circles, but they put little red circles around where the screws go. But there's no information anywhere about what screws actually go there. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, because I think depth is a little bit of a limitation there, we're going to use this one, the little silver one that has, wow, you can't see that at all. Ooh. Yeah, you can see it's silver. The little silver one that's not pointy is what we're going to put down in that spot. And after I put 2 of these in, we're going to see if, those are going to stand out like a sore thumb. I really don't want to put those there. Wonder if the little black ones will work. Yeah, we're going to try the little black one, see if that'll work. Those silver ones will stand out like a sore thumb right there. And I don't want to see that. So we're going to see if the little black one will work right there. Well, it goes in, so that's a good start. Make sure we don't go out the other side. Oh yeah, that's way better. So you can see silver screw versus black screw. The little black one sticks out way less, a lot less of a sore thumb appearance there. So we're definitely going to go with the little black ones. Because I don't want to see those. That's going to be a visible spot. Not super visible, but if you have something bright and shiny right there, it'll stand out. It'll be noticeable. There we go. There we go. Now the 2 little black screws in there, much less noticeable. Those will blend away quite nicely. Now we have the little cab piece like they show. Little cab piece. Now I'm going to put it on to the other part of it. Main shell. Oh, let's see if the other camera will come back. Hold on, you go off to the side. That way I can give you the close-ups a little bit better. Not cooking, so that's a good sign. Drop it back in the holder. Alright, trying to see which connector goes where, because I have to connect both of them. So, and power. That's a good sign. It went beep, beep, beep. And camera. Hey, there we go. We got the close-up camera. It's back. Winning. Okay, so now we have to install our main cab. Open the doors so that they don't get in the way lining this up. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Looks like that'll have to get sucked down with screws. Oh, okay, there we go. There we go, that looks better. Okay. Then we gotta line the back up with its little spots. All of these, not only does it have some screws, a screw at each corner to attach this, but it actually has plastic bosses that seat in together to actually connect the 2 pieces, like a little plastic post basically between the that pins into the body. There we go. Now we just got to put the screws in. I don't know how I'm going to put those screws in. Maybe I don't put those screws in. Oh, you don't. Okay. So the cab, the top half of the cab anyway, has 4 screws. Haha, we got the detail cam. All right. It has 4 screw bosses. They're right down here. 1, 2 on this side, and then 2 on the other side right there. Those are where you're going to put screws to hold the front on. The rear section just has plastic bosses that seat in, and then these cap pieces, when they go on, which I gotta figure out how to actually. I think I pop the back of it up a little bit to put them on. All right, see if I can figure this out here. You have to, yep, you got to put it all on at one time. So this lip right here on the back, I don't know how well you can see that little lip. Yeah, there you go. That little flat lip goes underneath this piece right here when it gets seated on, and then it's going to have 2 screws from underneath that secure the bed rail piece, and that's what will pinch the back of the cab onto the body. We'll leave that one where it's at for the moment. We need to flip this over and put 4 screws in the front. Doesn't look like depth is an issue on those. Not with the length of screws that are here, so we'll just use the pointy ones. The pointy, shiny ones. And I'm going to extend my magic screwdriver for those. Okay. From long to short. Comes in kind of handy. That way I'm not trying to squeeze the handle down into these tight spots. So when you're putting these screws into this plastic, just remember they're only going to go in and out so many times before the plastic is stripped. It's just the way these things work. And when you do put them in, don't over tighten them. Go to where they cinch tight, and that's it. No glue, no Loctite, no nothing. Just cinch them tight where everything's bottomed out and in place, and don't give them that extra 1/8 of an inch turn or anything like that. It'll just strip the plastic out sooner. So you just got to be careful with that. Once the plastic is stripped out, there's really no good way to repair it. If you do notice a hole that's kind of soft, what you can do is put a little bit of glue down in the hole and then put the screw on and just go to where it's just pseudo tight, not even fully cinched in, and then let the glue set, and that'll keep it in there, and it'll work halfway decent. But still, once the plastic is stripped, that's usually it. You're not gonna unstrip the plastic, and there's not much you can do about getting new threads in there other than going to a larger screw. And I mean, that's also got its limitations on how big you can get with screw size before you're out of material. All right. There we go. The front of the cab is attached. Get the other bed rail in place. Again, when you're doing the bed rail, let's see if I can do it backwards so you can see it. And we'll do it over on this camera. Get out of my way, tiny bits. More door handles? Why do I have a spare door handle? Whatever. Ooh, those are some shiny little bits. Oh no. I think I'm going to have to take the dash back out to put the steering column on. That would have been good to know, to realize sooner. Son of a gun. All right, I think I got all that far enough out of the way. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I've got to put this bed rail on. This side of it has to hook kind of underneath here, and this tab that's right here has to sit on top of this little notch right there and go underneath this portion right here. So you gotta have the cap up a little bit and then kind of push it all forward and down at one time, and it'll all pop into place. There we go. Now it's in on both sides. Then we flip it over and put a couple more screws in the bottom. Those ones look kind of shallow, so we're going to use these screws that are not pointy. Not pointy screws, because they just look shallow, and I'm just guessing. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just guessing. And it didn't poke out the other side, so we're going to say that that's a win. Okay. So I think that those need the little black screws, because that one's too close to the corner to actually put one of these flange screws on. We're going to take that back out, and we're going to put the little black screw in. The little black screw doesn't have the big old flanged head on it, so it fits a little better. And it didn't go through the other side either. Because the flanged one did work in the front, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side instead of taking the other one out, because it seems to be working just fine. And I'm really not sure. Without good instructions on where hardware goes, it is just kind of a guess. Ooh, why did that move? There we go. And then we'll use one of the little black ones in the corner. All right. So what we did there, over here, is up here in the front of what would be the front of the rear fender well, there was enough room for me to use one of the flange style bolts, which give me a better compression on a larger area of plastic. And then in the rear of it, up in the corner, you can see the little black dot up there. There wasn't enough room for the head size of the flanged bolt, so I put the two little black ones that have no flange on them, and you can see they're much smaller on the head diameter of the bolt. So it on the screw, so it fits down in there a lot better. So that's what we went with. Now it actually looks kind of like a truck. We still have that faux seat back there that we're going to have to cover up, but we're not quite to that yet. I think the next thing the instructions call for is the down bars. Right here, see these little down bars off the back of the cab. I guess they're to simulate a pseudo roll cage. So we're going to install them, at least for now. This is something I can already see being replaced for something a little bit nicer. Something that looks more like a roll cage than these parts do, because they just kind of look a little off. They're probably my least favorite feature. And they're also aluminum. Pretty sure that's aluminum. Yeah. Yeah, that's metal. Metal on metal. So I don't know why these were made out of metal. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And they're not light either, so that's kind of weird. Oh no. I think I'm gonna have to, am I gonna have to take the cab back off to put these on? No. I hate bad instructions are terrible. Oh no, this is my bust. This is my bust. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Still bad instructions, but it shows right there in that picture that these little bits right here are already installed before the topper goes onto the rest of the body. Bummer. So to put these guys on back here where they go, I have to take the cap back off. All right. We'll buzz the cap back off real quick because we got to do it right. And this is one of the reasons why you don't want to overdo it on your plastic screws, because if you do have to take it back apart, you want them to be able to go back in without being stripped. Take all these back out. So there you have it. I mean, if you got one of these bodies, if you want to get one of these bodies, be sure to not do what I just did, because you'll have to take it back apart again. Yep. There's the screw. I mean, it's not terrible at this point to take it back apart. It is only 8 screws, so it's not terrible. That one's kind of, there it goes. All right, 4 in the rear out. Well, this would probably be a good time to find out if I have to take the dash back out to put the steering column on, eh? Oh man, did I really just say A? So really what we're doing here is we're building in reverse. It's a new technique for building, reverse building. Show you how to do it, to undo it, to do it right. Which sadly I do a lot of that. Put something together, realize something was missed, and have to go back and redo it. But if you want it done right and you don't have good instructions, about the only way to do it is take it back apart when you realize you missed it. See if we can get it apart without breaking anything. Open the doors. There we go. Bed rails are off. Ooh, the cow is fighting me. All right, so if when you're popping this off, just be careful not to overstress the plastic and actually break it, because some of those little posts, the little posts that are up under here, are a pretty tight fit. All right, so now we need to install these 2 little guys, which are also appear to be aluminum, and they have threads cut in them. So we need those machined screws. Figure out which ones fit those. There we go. Probably this one. Oh, is that a burr? Yeah, a little bit of a burr on that one. This one might be kind of hard to get the bolt started. There it goes. Yep, that's going to be the right one for that. So I need 2 of those. And oh, do I really gotta take? I gotta take the whole windshield off too. That's annoying. Yep. So we're working backwards. Lucky I even got. Did yours not come with? Did you finally get yours, Lance? And I'm guessing that lucky you got instructions means yours didn't come with any instructions. Hey, if that's the case, I mean, I do feel lucky. However, I was not expecting instructions, so I guess some pictures is better than nothing. Oh, that's gonna not come off of there very well at all. That fit way too good. Okay, so we're gonna figure out how to get those 2 screws in. We're gonna actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, I pop the windshield out without breaking it. Oof. I don't know. I don't know. There we go. That'll do it. So the little plastic stubs that the windshield frame goes onto are way too tight of a fit to separate the windshield frame from the cab top uh, without breaking something. I'm sure of it. So rather than try and separate those, I just pop the windshield back out and I will install the roll bar or the down bars on the back through the open windshield. All right. This little guy there. And see this is my solution going right through the windshield frame uh, to get to that. Definitely easier than trying to get that piece back off, get the windshield frame separated from the roof. There we go. That one's in. Ah, weird. So these down bars don't even actually have a fastener. Well, that piece just disappeared. Let's see if I can find it, because we're gonna need that one. No. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I found it. I found it. Pit bag caught it. So what I was saying is this little piece that goes on the back of the cab, there's not even a fastener that attaches the down bar to that piece. It's just the right length that when you attach it at the bed rail, which you couldn't really see that because you can't see the body right now, but when you attach this end at the bed rail, it just can't pop out of that piece. It's kind of an interesting way to do that. I'm not sure that I like it or don't like it. Again, I think that the down bars is something that needs to be replaced with a more appropriate, better looking roll bar. But we're going to put them on for now because I want to see this body built the way it comes before I actually make any changes to it, major or minor. All right, now we can pop the windshield back in. Let's see if we can get it in without breaking it, since we've already put it in once and taken it out once. Come on. There's one end. There we go. Windshield is reinstalled. Again, I do recommend that really pops in pretty easy, pops out pretty easy. So I do recommend a little bit of hot glue in discrete locations for that windshield to keep it in there. All right. Now, before I go any further, let's see if I can get the steering wheel and steering column installed, because I'm pretty sure that was supposed to happen before the dash got installed, because, well, there's no way to get to where that screw goes with the dash installed. So that means we have to pull the dash real quick. More backwards building. What it is I wanted to show those who may have shown up late to the video how the first few steps went. That's what it was. This was planned. No, not buying it. All right. Oh, you did get this one, Lance. The yellow Jeep. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. Well, I mean, not the most complicated build in the world. You plan to put it together and take it apart a couple of times like this, which even with instructions, I'm still having to do because they didn't really help that much. No, it goes that way. How the hell is it? How's that supposed to work? Oh, like that. There we go. And then we got to put a screw in the back side. Yeah, so the steering column, if you're building one of these, the steering wheel goes through the steering column, and then one screw goes into the back of the steering wheel to secure the steering column and the steering wheel to the dash. And that has to be done with the dash not installed, because you can't get to the back of it unless you modify the firewall inside the engine bay area and make a hole to get to the back of it. You have to install this before you install the dash into the main shell. So I used one of the shiny flanged head bolts to secure that. Probably could have gone a little looser. Let's back it off a little bit. Then my steering wheel will move just a little bit. There we go. Oh, no, steering wheel. Oh, so the steering wheel is keyed. It doesn't move at all. For it to, you could make it so it'll rotate by trimming off the little piece of plastic that keys it in. But meh, I don't plan on putting anything in there to make it a functional steering wheel, so it doesn't need to move. And now we reinstall the dash. 3 screws. We'll try and get back to where we were 20 minutes ago. One, two. So to get, what I'm doing is I'm getting these all started, and then I'll snug each one of them up once they're all started. Makes it a little easier to wiggle the piece if it doesn't line up just perfect. That one's good. That one's good. And that one's good. Okay. Now we can put the cab back on. Doors open. Okay. That creaky sound that you may or may not have just heard, depends on whether or not my mic filters picked it up and filtered it out. But that's the post of the cowl on the front of the windshield frame, actually seating into the bosses on the body. So it does go in there pretty snug. Not something you'll want to take in and out multiple times. It'll eventually, you'll have a failure. Yeah. Yep. 2 or 3 times. That's about how many times you can safely take these screws in and out without, as long as you don't over tighten them. You get 2 or 3 rips before the threads start to give up. Biggest thing with any screws that are going into plastic, just don't over tighten. It's better for them to come loose and fall out than it is to over tighten and strip the hole. Because you fall out and lose a screw, it can be replaced. Once the hole's gone, shot, and you're stuck trying to figure out how to fix it. Okay. That part's back on. Now we can put the bed rails back in. Snap. Put back in there. Go. Oh. There we go. All right, and the bed rails are in place. Back of the cab is secured. The little half door fillers are secured by the bed rail. 4 screws, and we're finally back where we were. Installing the down bars. Except all the forgotten stuff is in. So again, the little black screws are going into the back of the bed rail. And I'm going to use the flanged ones and the more forward hole because they fit. And the flange gives a better surface area pressure, which is going to reduce the potential for the hole to get broken if something, when it takes a hit or something gets snagged on it or who knows what. All right, those are in. Oh no, really? Really? So those 4 screws I just put in have to come right back out. I'll show you why here in just a second. Guess I'm gonna have to study the pictures closer in the future. A good set of instructions. Maybe this would be worthy of doing an edited video on instructions on how to build one of these bodies properly. I mean, I do kind of want one from one of my own builds, so maybe that's what I will do when I get that body. I'll do an edited video of step by step when to install what parts, and I'll get it all sorted and figured out and exactly which hardware and goes where, because of something that was overlooked. I can't put the down bar on with the bed rail caps on because you have to attach the other end of the down bar to the bed rail caps before you install the bed rail caps. It's kind of annoying. But so this little guy right here, which is this piece, has to get installed to the bed rail cap that goes here before you put the cap onto the main body. So that's cool. At least I didn't have to take it nearly as far apart as I did for the last piece. Which, actually, thinking back, since I ended up popping the windshield out, I probably could have left the whole cab on. But then I wouldn't have been able to put the steering column in, so that wouldn't have worked anyway. It would have still had to come apart. All right. So, and then the other part of it shows having the actual down bar installed on. They have the down bar installed on the bed rail cap before it goes onto the truck. So we're going to do that as well. And something else I just noticed with this, one side of this kind of like half U-joint piece has got a very large bore on it. and that actually fits the head of the screw that's going to hold the down bar in place, and the other side has a small hole that will not. My guess is, from looking at the very small photo of this, that the head of the screw is going to go in the side where it'll sit more flush, recessed into that larger opening. Not sure how durable that's going to be. There's really not a lot of material there, but we're going to find out because, worst case, if it fails and has to be replaced with something better, or it gets replaced with something better before it fails. These ones are socket head, and it is a machine thread screw. If I fully intended on keeping this setup on here for the long term, I would probably put a touch of Loctite on this. But it is aluminum that it is threading into, so I'm going to say that it's going to be fine. Just put a little bit of a cinch on there. It probably won't go anywhere. All right. One down bar installed. Let's get the other one on. I am setting it so that the head of the screw that holds the down bar in is set to the, well, I was about to say I'm setting it so it's set to the outside, but I think I just did it so it was set to the inside. I did. I want to change that. So we are going to change that by spinning it around. It doesn't flip either. That's annoying. Okay. I want the reason what I was going to get at is I'm setting it so that the head of the screw for the down bars to the outside. So worst case, if I decide that they need to come off, just the down bar itself, uh, it'll be easy to take it off. But I goofed up on that one and thought I had set it that way, and I didn't. Set it the opposite of what I wanted. So we'll fix that one here in just a second. There we go, a little cinch on that. Want it more or less straightforward. Actually, no, it's got to go up and out a little bit. There we go. Really not too sure about this setup. Really don't think I like it. Quite annoying, to be completely honest. So if someone else out there who sees this video happens to have built one of these and done something way better for the roll bar setup on it, I would really like to see that. See what you've come up with. If you jump over and throw some photos on the 10 Scale Adventures Facebook page of what you've done and come up with that's a better setup than these weird factory down bar looking things. I mean, overall in the end, once it's installed, it looks decent in photos, but I just don't like the way it is functionally. It's kind of weird. So if you have something cool, I'd love to see it. Tell me what you got. Now we can once again reinstall these guys. This is where it's going to be a little bit weird. So now to install this all at one time, you have to put the down bar in up at the front. What? No, it can't be that far out. Really? It's that much pressure? Okay. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, you gotta put the down bar, you gotta put the down bar in while you're getting everything lined up. And then kind of force it all together, which I mean, everything's gonna latch in together pretty decent, I guess. Oh, too much. Go. And then get it all the seat down where it's supposed to go. All right, well, I mean, it fits, so I guess it works. It will stiffen it all up pretty good, so that's a plus. All right. Now, for the last time, famous last words, we can install the screws that hold the bed rails down. And hopefully leave them installed this time. A little bit of a cinch on these. Really don't want to wipe out these screw holes before this body ever even gets built. One thing that this will definitely get and definitely needs before it can ever be finished and go on to a finished build is the bottom side of this body needs to be painted flat black. Like the undercarriage of just about every vehicle that's out there that's not a show car that's got some fancy paint job, but all this white and tan overspray all has to go away. That all looks like poo. All right. So there we have, flip it to that one. There we have the main portions of this. And that's where the instructions stop. They quite literally. That's the end of the instructions. It doesn't tell you anything else about the rest of the bits. And that's it. All done, right? That's, I mean, so we have a lot more bits to put on here that we'll have to figure out. Lance, I expected I would end up doing something from steel rod when I ordered that body. Those bars were kind of funky looking from the photos. Yeah, and they are. They're kind of funky. The way that they install, Lance, it's kind of weird. I mean, it wasn't too bad, and they're decently sturdy. I mean, and they'll definitely they stiffen everything up decent, but it is just kind of a weird setup. They've kind of got an odd look to them. But if you were to do an actual formed tube roll bar that bolted in here and kind of rolled up and then came across straight, roll bar setup, and then made a mount that tied it into the cab right here, that would probably look way better. I actually, after thinking about that while describing that, I think that that's what may end up having to happen on this one. So before I bolt on the rear seat cover, so if you don't plan on running this little toolbox, you're probably going to want to figure out how to disguise what the rear seat of the Rubicon that's in there. But before I bolt this in there, I want to, oh, this screwdriver can't get in there. I want to see how much space is in this little guy. how useful is this piece going to be? Because from the looks of it, this actually has a pretty good amount of space in it, which might serve really well for a receiver. It might work well, which that would be kind of inconvenient because of getting all the wiring to it. Could work well for a back, which again, the wiring could be kind of annoying. Maybe a light controller. They would hide a light controller really well, and then the wiring all pretty much stays on the battery or on the body for the lights, except for a power connection. Oh yeah, easily would hide a light controller. There's the other screw. But yeah, that's this little container, and this is no wrong one. There we go. This little container that goes over and covers that rear seat. It's just over. It's about 105 on the exterior by 55-ish on square, and the depth exterior is around 26, 27 mils. The inside is pretty good sized container. I mean, you can get something pretty big in there. Pretty good size space. You could easily put a light controller in there. Who knows what else? Whatever else you decide you want to put in there. So this is a useful little piece, and overall weight on it's not too bad. Getting in and out of it's kind of annoying if you have to open it up. I wouldn't recommend it as a place for a power switch unless you want to come up with a quick latch, because these little screws that hold it closed are inaccessible once it is attached to the body, because it is screwed to the body with two other screws. So you'd have to take out a whole bunch of screws if you stay with the screw fastener setup. But if it's for a light controller, generally speaking, you don't have to access those very often. Once they're set up and wired in and working, you kind of just forget about them. So that would probably be what if I run a full light controller, which is possible on this, this is probably going to be where it's going to be hidden at. Bunch of rectangular hole down here in the bottom, one through the body. Get the wires in and out, and bam. And it'll sit right back there in the back, just like that. So let's find out which screws are needed to hold that in there. Looks like it uses these two post holes right there. Those are the two that we're going to put, and we're going to use two of the pointy shiny screws, because I have a whole bunch of them, and length not an issue for these ones. And I'm just barely snugging these ones in because I know that container is going to come out again in the future to get used for some sort of wiring job. All right. I think we're going to do fender flares next, because they're going to really complete the most of the look on these, and I want to see how they attach. So the fender flares are attaching to the inside of the fenders using, it looks like 3 bolts for the front fender flares and 2 bolts for the rears. Let me flip this guy over. Let's see, do we have enough of the little black ones? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have the exact right amount. So far I'm guessing that my consumption of screws is as intended, because I have the exact right amount of little black screws to install the fender flares. There we go. Yep, those pop on, fit nicely right there. So let's go ahead and these ones definitely need the little black screws. The flanged ones they have recesses where the head of the screw is going to recess into the plastic a little bit. So the ones that have the flanged head won't actually fit down in the recesses where that head goes down. So you do need the little black screws for this one. Oh, so Lance, you're saying the down bars or the roll bars on the back would look better if they attached higher on the cab. I agree. I think that that's what makes them look. I think the combination of them not being at the very top, lined up with the top tangent of the cab, and the lack of a crossbar between the two of them at the back of the cab. I think that's what makes it look weird because they just terminate right into the back of the cab. I mean, that's typical in a lot of race trucks because they actually go through the back of the cab into the roll cage inside the cab. But for something like this, they do it just kind of looks weird the way they terminate at the back of the cab. So, yeah, a little bit higher up probably would have been a better overall look. All right. You know, and Lance, I thought I was going to be able to use this, which I might be able to. I'd have to dig around and see if I have a bit small enough to run these Phillips with it. But when I realized, which I should have realized up front, um, based on the source of the body, when I realized it was all Phillips screws, I was like, oh man. And I didn't, well, I kind of realized that when I was unpackaging all of this for the first time at the beginning of the video. So, but I fully intended to use that tonight to zip these together because like you were saying, the low clutch setting on that is actually really great for running stuff in, even on the plastic. It's soft enough that when they start to get tight, it slips before it strips. Slips before it strips. The last thing you want to hear from any stripper. That was just not good. I wish I could take that back. I'm sorry. All right. Rear fender flares. Yep, that one drops right in. How was uh how was Fall Creek today, Lance? I would imagine that it was a pretty good time because you guys went off the radar for a good number of hours before anything happened in the chat. So I imagine that meant there was some good trail time out there at Fall Creek. All right, one more fender flare. See what time do we got? 7:48. Oh, perfect. So this body's got a good number of lights, lenses and housings and stuff. I'm not gonna put those in tonight. I'll show you those pieces, but I'm actually we're gonna get these fender flares on here, and that completes the bulk of the look of the body anyway. And then I'm gonna grab a chassis that I've been working on. It is not the chassis this is going to go on because that one doesn't have axles or anything under it. Which actually the chassis I want to grab is the wrong wheelbase for this, so that's going to look a little weird. Yeah, that's not going to work worth shit. Pardon my French. We'll see what it looks like anyway. Oh, I guess we could drop the little. So the grill piece, or the radiator slash headlight lens piece, just drops right in, and this one will use flange head screws. The way it seats on these pins, you can see the little forks right there. So we'll go ahead and throw 2 screws in that real quick just because we're under here. That'll take care of the gaping holes in the grill. You won't just see right through. Come on, go in straight. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, that looks way better with that radiator back there. I definitely think the radiator shroud, the radiator piece behind the grill needs to be painted silver to have that aluminum look, or at least the ridges painted silver. Um, oh, that's right. You guys got the. How bad are the wildfires up there this year? From what I've seen, they're getting pretty nasty again. That sucks. I hate that. That was so bad last year. I do not envy you whatsoever with the wildfires. But so that's this does have it's got some windshield wipers, which I'm not gonna pop on there quite yet. I kind of set them in there for looks, kind of where they'll be. These look like something that would do well with the touch of hot glue to permanently secure them. This appears to be. Oh, this is the antenna. I thought I saw an antenna attachment somewhere. Where was it? Well, I'm sure that that'll probably pop up. I think this is some sort of supposed to be some sort of antenna. Thought I saw that somewhere. I figured out where the third door handle goes right there on the tailgate. Wrong side. There we go. Right there on the tailgate. So we can pop that in real quick. Again, these little detail pieces, they pop in pretty dang tight. But I would still recommend, or maybe not. Maybe this one won't need it at all. Wow. Go. There it goes. That one's probably not popping out ever. But if you have one that pops in kind of a little bit more loose, just a touch of CA glue on the back of it, just right on the back on the little nub that just goes in the hole. Very little touch of CA glue, and that should catch it in there pretty dang good. But yeah, so we still got these other bits. Rear view mirror. That's going to be kind of a pain to glue in there with the cab already in, but that's a glue in. These little bits go right up here in the front. They'll probably get a little touch of CA glue, so you get the hood latch on there. They're kind of almost a rubbery kind of plastic, so they're probably pretty durable. The windshield wipers are the same way. They're kind of a rubbery plastic. Yeah, I mean it's plastic, but it feels like it's got some resilience to it, some little bit of a rubbery feel. Similar to the mirrors, the same kind of thing with the mirrors. They're kind of flimsy and flexible, so those will hold up decently well getting rubbed on the rocks. So I'll end up having to take the cab back off to do some paint work on the inside. These are chrome shifters. I don't like that at all. That's what these are supposed to be, is the shifters. Those are going to get painted. We'll see what color they end up in the interior. These little round lights go, I don't know where. I don't recognize, I don't see anywhere on the back of the body for those to go. They might go on a different model. This has got square lights, which is going to be these guys. What I already see as an issue with these is what they're going for is when there's no light in here and this is snapped in, it looks like, you know, a brake light and a reverse light. So I kind of get it in there a little bit. Maybe. Ooh, that's a tight fit. All right, I'm not going to shove it all the way in because I want to be able to get it out, do wiring and stuff still. But they wanted it to look like if there's no LED in there, it's gonna look like a reverse light and a brake light, a 2-in-1. But there's only one LED slot and there's no divider or anything in there. So if you put an LED in there, if it's a white LED, you're gonna get the reverse light all the time with the brake light on. If it's a red LED, then it defeats the purpose of half the lens being red and half of it being clear. So what I will probably end up doing is I'll probably end up using some brake light paint, some like Tayama brake light paint, and actually paint the rest of that lens to be all red. I think that that'll look a lot better. So, and then it also has some headlight lenses that go on the piece. You put them in before you put the grill piece in behind there, so that you have a decent looking headlight. So those will be pretty nice pieces to add. So a lot of detailing to be done on this guy still. But there we have it. This is the Jeep. I guess it's kind of like a 2-door Renegade or a 2-door Gladiator is basically what it is. I think it's going to be a neat body. So far I really like the overall level of detail in it. The opening doors is really nice touch. And they snap in pretty good, so not too concerned. Like I said, a little extra magnet being added to the inside to just give them a little bit more stiffness. So let's see if we can set it on a chassis and see what that looks like. And I'm going to grab a chassis that some people are aware of. And if you are aware of the chassis, you recognize that. All right. This is a chassis I have been designing. It is a comp inspired class 1 legal chassis that is fully of my own works. This is an R&D model. It is a pre-production prototype is what you would call this in the terms of research and development. It is a series of these chassis have been made, a total that will be undisclosed at this point. This one is the first one that's been semi-assembled to see how everything fit on all the laser cut parts I had made for it. The links obviously are still all plastic, and everything's being figured out to get the wheelbase just right for the body that's going to be going on it, which is not in the long run this Jeep two-door Gladiator, but it's the only chassis I have available right at the moment that had nothing on it. So clearly the wheelbase of my comp chassis is a little on the short side for this truck, which doesn't surprise me because it's being built for a 1175 wheelbase, so it's definitely a little on the short side. That said, if the chassis is at 1175 with the way this is sitting on there, I can see where this is pretty close to 12.3, maybe 12.5, but it's also clearly got a lot of interferences underneath that would require a lot of work to get this body to fit on there. The good thing I'm not trying to fit this body on that chassis though. But what we've got going on here, here's why that license plate had significance. This chassis is called the Spartan. It's obviously got the Spartan engraved cut into the rear chassis brace. It's a Well, I mean, it is what you see. It's 1/8 inch thick aluminum rails, um, set up for class one. It's got a flat bottom skid, no rake in it, no cheater lean. It's less than 2 inches total rise at its highest point. Bolt-on shock towers. This one, like I said, is purely R&D. It's right now it's fit with an SSD diamond rear axle, and it's got a VP Vanquish Products offset front F9 in it, because I've been working on changing a bunch of stuff around in it. Forward motor mount, it's got a T case in it, a divorce T case with a good bit of overdrive. We won't let all the stuff slip out on what it is yet. And yeah, so it's been a fun project. This is what I've been working on in the background for a while now. This chassis is um, it's months in the working of coming up with a design for the chassis, stuff that fits, doing lots of testing and printing. Um, it's been run in printed parts numerous times before it ever had laser cut parts made. So yeah, you guys out in Oregon that are getting some of the test models for this chassis, um, those will be in the mail tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, the test prototype models, to those of you who are receiving them, are going to be there. I fully expect that you're going to be sending me photos, videos, feedback information on how we can take this from a prototype to being a potentially a production model. It would be great to be able to go out and go to an event and see other people running my chassis. The There will be no other ones in Oklahoma other than mine, at least for the prototypes. So that's kind of cool. Um, yeah. So I don't think I have anything else for tonight. Let's move the Spartan over. Um, let's see. The we'll put the There we go. The Jeep is on its chassis, and that's going to take a good bit of work to get everything sorted out on there too. Because as you can see, actually you can't see at the moment, but just setting this on a stock 10.2 chassis, it with some of the stock stuff on it, it hits all kinds of things. So we're going to have some serious clearancing work. This is going to require a bunch of drivetrain work to get everything cleared properly so that it all fits right. Um, like I said, it's going to be a cool custom project, and it's going to take a while to get everything right. And I'm going to try and make it cool. At this point, it looks like I'm probably going to end up doing some design work, and some building work off camera, because it's going to be a lot of put it together, take it apart, put it together, take it apart to figure out how to make everything fit properly. Um, so, but we're getting closer with having the body in hand. We can get the drivetrain figured out. We can get the links figured out, get the axles hung where they need to go, and then start working on steering geometry, all that good stuff. It's going to be a it'll be a fun build to figure out from here forward. It's definitely going to be not going to be easy with that full depth interior to get it all in there nice and clean, but we're going to do it. And the Spartan, you will definitely see more of this in the future, the near future. I'm hoping to have a prototype model running sometime in the next couple weeks tops. And I have another one that I will be building from scratch, and we're going to do a full video build on it, so that there's some sort of instructions out there, because right now I haven't done any instructions. The guys who are getting these are, well, they're just going to go off of some pictures that I've sent them until I can get them more information. I am going to get you guys a hardware list though, because knowing there's a few spots where the length of the bolt really matters, and you can't too long and it won't work, too short and it won't work. So I will get you a hardware list and a few other odds and end pieces of information that you guys need. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody hanging out and bearing with me with being in and out of here a whole bunch and also sounding like I'm dying tonight. I won't make a promise on next weekend yet because I'm not sure when my folks are supposed to be showing back up with their RV. They might be back by next weekend, they might not. So you'll just have to check out, keep an eye on the Facebook page. If I'm gonna go live, there'll be a post about going live on the Facebook page. If there's no post about a live stream, there's not going to be a live stream. That's right. That makes sense. Yeah. So until the next one, have fun with RC, and we'll hopefully see you guys again soon.